Hi everybody, it's Joni Young. Welcome back for another painting tutorial in acrylics. Today I'm going to show you how to paint some little wild violets in the forest. So we're really going to focus in on the flowers and create a blurry out of focus background with lots of shadow and light. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go over the supplies I'm using today, and feel free to change yours up if you don't have the same canvas, brushes, and colors I'm using. This is a 12 by 16 double primed and stretched canvas with the following colors: titanium white, luminous yellow, Mars black, Hooker's green hue permanent, magenta, and phthalo blue. I have the following brushes here: 1-inch mop brush, a 30 filbert, and a number 4 filbert brush. So we're going to begin this painting with a large filbert brush. I'm going to come in with the colors for the background. While it's still wet, we're going to take a dry and clean mop brush and we're going to go around in little circles to blur it up, and that's going to give us an instant out of focus background. So let's jump in. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and white, and I'm just going to start adding that right there. I'm going to add some water. I've got a little water bottle here. I'm just going to smooth that out, blend out what's left in my brush. Okay, I'm going to take some more white and green, red, and white. I'm going to focus on leaving a little bit more light in this area here, and I'm going to come in and gradually add a little bit more. This time I'm picking up a little bit of black. Some more green. A little bit more black, red, and green down here. Set that brush aside, and let's go over with our little dry and clean mop brush. Now you can go in any direction you want. Keep in mind, if you use soft up and down brush strokes, it'll look a little bit more like you've got some trees in the background. And then you come in with little circles and it'll look more sort of textured. So you can have a little bit of each if you want. I'm going to take some more white now, and I'm going to start adding that around here, mixing that in with a little bit of the green and that red and a touch of black. So I'm going to add a few little soft up and down brush strokes. We'll take a little bit more of that yellow and white, soften. Green, yellow, and white. Just add a few little soft circles here and there. Okay, once you've got it to the blurriness and colors that you want, you can go ahead and dry it off, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, now that this is all dry, I'm going to come in and add some faded trees in the background, and I'm going to use my small filbert brush for this. I'm going to take a combination of green, magenta, a little bit of yellow, take just a little bit of water, thin that out. So it gives us a shade of brown, like a dark, dark brown. But really you could choose any color you want for the trees. So I just go over the outer edges of each of these. It'll make them look a little blurry and out of focus. Okay, then what I'm going to do is come down here and pick up a little bit more green this time. And I'm going to block in the ground. Blur that up a little bit, just softly blending without much paint on my brush. Pull in a little bit more yellow, that green. Add a little bit of background lighting here. I'm going to rinse my brush completely out and dry it off. I'm going to soften very lightly with the end of my brush. Can add little hints of tree trunks here with this color as well. Light on your trees. And have a little bit of light fading out on the left and the right as well. Don't have it just all of a sudden stop and only in the middle. I want some gradual fading. Okay, so I'm going to come in with some of my first leaves now. I'm going to use some black, some green, and we're going to have the shape right about here. So let's just kind of add this arch like this. The shape's going to be in of our little mound of violets. And then we'll come in with a little bit of lighter colors, lighter shades of green up here, mixing yellow, white with that green. And we're just gonna add a few little arches like this. pull a little bit and then go into the dark. Pull inward, make it look sort of like a fan shape. And they really resemble kind of ruffly heart shapes, the leaves. And they're quite big, much bigger than the flowers. Take some more black and green, and the center of them is going to be darker. We're just adding some darker areas here in between the lighter ones. That black and green. Okay, so just a little bumpy like this, ruffle, ruffle. Can come in with a little bit of white, mix that with the green. The idea is to have light and dark spots, more light around the edges, and then have it darker in the center. So I'll take a little bit of extra white here just to show you. I'm going to go from the outside, pulling that in. A little darker in some areas in between. Get a little loose with your brush stroke. And then back to the dark center. Remember, we're going to be adding some flowers in here as well. Green and black again. Layer over. So you really want to create those scalloped edges. It's super easy to do. You just go out, in, out, in. And as the paint starts to dry, you'll be able to come in and add more highlights gradually that will stand out a little bit more. I'm going to take some more white, yellow, and green. These are the underside of some of these leaves. So we have different angles. And they can be a little bit fuzzy, out of focus as well. Don't think all of the leaves have to be in full focus. Okay, I'm going to come in between with some black and magenta now. I'm using magenta because it's a complementary color. Red and green go good together. So just compare this side to this side. As soon as I add this little bit of red, the colors start to pop and play against one another. Okay, so I just took a moment to dry this off a bit, and I'm going to come in and add a little bit more pattern in some of the leaves. I'm not going to go crazy adding in all of them, but I want to have a little bit more definition. And so I'm going to go with a little bit of light green. Outline these little scoops, scalloped edges. Really want to have the end of your brush loaded with the paint, and not too much paint either. You want to bring these little lines in using just the tip of your brush, make them narrower as they get down to the center of the leaf. And as I'm kind of tapping in some of the areas with a dry brush, like so, you get it looking a little bit patchy. And that patchiness will give you a little bit more of a pattern. Okay, so let's just keep going. Adding a little bit of this very light, soft green around the edges and faintly in between the dark areas. So you have little lines. We're a little bit more generous with the white over here. So when you add a little arch to some of them, it gives you that feeling of some curviness to the leaf, a little bit more shape. Okay, so let's go ahead and start adding a little bit of the dark green. I'm just going to clean my brush, have a little bit of water in my brush, a little bit of black. You want it on the end of the brush. And we're going to add a little line here that goes down to the center, almost all the way to the end. And then we're just going to add a little line like that, a little curve. And we'll add 4, 2, 3, and 4 main ones. And then a few little lines on off of those. Add just a little bit more of the black in there. And then because this leaf is over top of this one, I'm going to add a little bit more of a shadow casting on this part of the leaf itself. And then to make that stand out a little bit more, that leaf, put that more into focus. Okay, I think that we're ready to start painting our violets. And the violets have 5 petals, and well, the ones I'm painting today do. And I'm going to make this really simple for you guys because it's pretty much just a heart on the top, a heart on the bottom. So you'll do the heart straight up and down, then you'll reverse it. So I just flip my brush over and then I go like this, and then we'll have a little petal in the middle. So let's add some stems first. Now you can use a liner brush if you want, or you can use the filbert brush, a little watered down. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white, green, black, and red. Something like that. Okay, and we're going to add a little curl and a pull. Curl, pull. Don't worry about where they land, like the stems themselves. Just add those hooks and lines. Let's have, it's a little taller here. Another one right here. The next thing we're going to do is practice our flowers. So I've rinsed my brush out. Just make sure. I'm going to just dry this off quickly first. Reload my magenta. Let's take a little bit of white. So I just dried this off. So I'm going to reload my brush here. And we're going to start with the first heart. Now let's just add one right down here. And we're not going to see the stem. We're just going to see the flower because the stem probably comes through here and it's invisible. So we'll do push, pull, let off. Push, pull, let off. Okay, now we're going to take a little bit of white and we're going to go at the top. Push, pull, let off. A little bit more in there. Push, pull, let off. And then we're going to come in from the bottom and add another heart upside down. Push, pull, let off. You can flip your canvas if it's easier for you. So we're going to make another heart. Push, pull, let off towards the center. We're going to add some white. Do the same thing. Push, pull, let off. Push, pull, and let off. So we have a heart shape now. And then we're going to take all three colors again and add another final petal right here. It's going to start past the two and then pull in. I'm going to add a little bit more white, a little bit more of that magenta, and I'm going to go over these again. Push, pull, let off. Push, pull, and let off. So it's going to be darker in the center is really what you're going for. And I'm going to get the edges here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and just add those where we want them to be. We'll add another one here, and they're going to be on different angles too, right? Like where the hook is on turning, hooking over to the left, we're going to have a different shape or different angle. So let's pull, pull, take a little bit of white, pull, twist, pull, twist, twist to the center, twist over to the center, and we'll add another little petal there. And let's just continue along. Take some white. And take some more magenta, and we'll start layering over some more. Okay, so these are from the side, so we're not going to see all 5 petals. Okay, loading up with my dark color again. Make that heart shape. Then come in with the white. And we'll add the other little details inside each of these flowers after we're done this step. Some white, pull in. and then the other one in the middle there. Okay, let's add one that's just hasn't bloomed yet. I'll add a few buds. Come in with a little bit of lighter shade, some more white, and make that a little lighter there. Take a little bit of white here. Twist and pull in. You don't have to make them all the same shade, like some can be a little bit darker, some can be a little bit lighter. Make your heart shape. Have a few buds again. And add some light inside of them. A few little lines if you want. I'm going to go back in. I need a little bit more of my magenta. Take a little bit of magenta, a little bit of blue, a little bit of white. I'm going to add a little bit of this color right at the base of the flower and the stem. Take a little bit of white, mix that in. I'm going to mute that with some black, make it a little bit darker. Add a little bit more with a clean brush, a little bit more white on this leaf here. And any others that may be starting to dry a little bit darker than I'd like them to. I want them to have a little bit of this powdery light on the ends of them. I'm going to take a little bit of black with my magenta again, a little bit of water, thin the paint out. Okay, now we're gonna go inside the flowers and add a dark little patch. So we're gonna add a little dab, and then off to the side like this. It's gonna be a little bit in shadow, so we're gonna just do a little curve like that. I'm gonna add a few lines. And then a little bit more light on the tops of some of these. I'm gonna just want a little bit more of the magenta in there. And then back into the blue. And add little hints of other little petals, tucked away little flowers that kind of hide. I've got violets, wild scented violets that are growing in my garden on Vancouver Island. Actually, right now I'm in the Canadian Rockies, visiting family. As many of you know, I just became a grandma again. Got a sweet little baby grandson. But on the island in my garden, I've got some beautiful scented violets, and all you really see are the leaves at first, and it's not until you go way down and move those leaves around that you see the violets, and they're all tucked away in there, and they smell so gorgeous. And it reminds me of when I was a little girl and I would visit my grandparents, who had a huge greenhouse business, and they had this creek bed, and I would find scented wild violets. It was always really exciting. So now what I'm going to do is come in with a little bit of yellow in the centers. So I think all of my yellow, yeah, it's pretty much all dry. I'm going to take a little bit more here, and I'm actually going to use the end of my brush, mix a little bit of yellow and white in there. Now you can use any yellow, but I'm just gonna use this. And you just want to add that inside the dark patch in the middle. You could just add little bits, and then I'm going to soften and blur some of these areas. I'm going to add more light and more dark. So right now I'm going to just mix up magenta and white. And I'm going to add a little bit of this here and there. I think this little bit of magenta in here is a nice bit of warmth to the deep shades of violet. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of watered down blue, not dripping though, and I'm going to play up on the blue in some areas down here where it's a little bit cooler and where I want to have a little bit more shadow. Add a little bit to the leaves as well. A little bit of coolness in here. No shadows. Okay, now I'm going to take some black, mix it up with the remaining magenta. I have to add another little flower there, I think. A little bit of water to my brush. I'm going to add another little flower here. Come in with some blue. Center. And a little dab right there. I still want to add a little bit more magenta. I want to add a little bit more red to this so that we have complementary soft yellowy peach going on with a purple and more red going on with the green. So I'm going to add little splashes of this red over the black. And some of the stems. Last little bit of green. Green, yellow with a little bit of white. And just get these outer edges that are a little bit further back here. Okay, well, I hope you all enjoyed this one today. This is my first time painting violets and sharing it with you all. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel here for more. It's free and I've got over 1,000 tutorials and more on Patreon. I'll have links below in the description of this video of both of those, plus my website. I've got a watercolor painting tutorial channel as well. So hit subscribe and have fun painting with me. I'll see you guys soon in another video. Bye!